Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. I'm SocietySucks and today I'm checking out why did Russia give up so much land to Germany in 1918? Obviously Russia was one of the losers in World War I. Germany pushed quite far into Russia, so it's not really that surprising that they gave up a lot of land. But let's see the exact reasons why.
In March 1918, after what some historians would describe as turmoil back home, the Russian government signed the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk with the Central Powers. This made official Russia's exit from the First World War and came at the small cost of all of this land, which consisted of a third of Russia's pre-war population, most of its industrial heartlands, as well as its most productive agricultural zones. This massively weakened Russia internationally and was a gargantuan humiliation, which raises an obvious question. Why did the Russians agree to this? Why did they give up so much? They didn't have a choice. Did they try to do anything to prevent it? Why did the Russians agree to this? Why did they give up so much and did they try to do anything to prevent it? So, as you'll know, Russia's time during World War I wasn't exactly a fun one. Very early on, things went well, but after that, not so much. This meant that the Russian people weren't happy and just wanted the war to be over. This led to civil unrest, the February Revolution, the Tsar's abdication, and the creation of the Russian Provisional Government. And this new government, under pressure from Russia's allies, continued the war and suddenly, Lenin. As you'll know, there soon came the October Revolution, and after the Bolsheviks and their political allies took control, they began to negotiate with the Central Powers, by which I mean the Germans. In December 1917, the new government negotiated a ceasefire which automatically renewed until one power gave notice that they wanted to fight again. So Lenin had publicly proclaimed his desire for peace without annexations or indemnities, which the Germans said they would be open to providing that literally everyone else in the Entente also agree. And in case you're wondering, this is diplomatic speak for no. Leon Trotsky, Russia's foreign minister, wanted to delay negotiations, hoping that whilst they did that, the proletariat in Germany would rise up and overthrow their government, but fun fact, no. After it became clear that this wasn't going to happen, the Russian government was divided on what to do. The first option, championed by the left socialist revolutionaries, was continue the war no matter the cost. The problem with this was that the army was largely falling apart, or had actively sided against.
Can't really fight when there's nobody left to fight. I mean, okay, you could force people, but you're not gonna win if your only soldiers are just conscripts who don't even want to be there. That's not exactly an army that's gonna let you win
against Lenin's government, and so couldn't continue to put up any real resistance. The second option was to make peace no matter the cost. Lenin was overwhelmingly concerned with not dying, and so fighting the Central Powers whilst also fighting a civil war meant that the revolutionary government would almost certainly lose. As such, it was better to live with the humiliating peace, defeat their internal opponents, and then, when strong enough, take back what they'd lost. There was, however, secret option number 3. This was championed by Trotsky, who wanted to walk away from the negotiations and declare that Russia would refuse to fight the war. His plan was that in the face of peaceful non-resistance, any German advance would make them look like aggressors and colonizers to the German workers, who would then inevitably rise up and overthrow their government. Trotsky somehow managed to convince Lenin to go along with this plan, to which the German response was just to advance and take the land anyway. And guess what? Most German workers were just fine with this stunning victory. Shocker. Realising that he had just done a stupid, Lenin panicked and 1. Moved the Russian capital to Moscow, and 2. Pushed for the...
I don't understand what made them think that the Germans would give a damn. The Germans and the Russians were enemies. Why would the Germans care that the Russians are losing land? Like, what?
Government to accept all of Germany's terms, which, since their successful offensive, they had updated to include Russia giving up Ukraine and Finland. But given that Moscow had accepted Finland's independence and also barely had a foothold in Ukraine, they weren't too upset about this. And accepting these terms largely comes down to the fact that Lenin's position at this point was quite a fragile one. Trotsky resigned in protest and the left socialist revolutionaries broke off from the government to peacefully protest. By which I mean they assassinated the German ambassador to Russia in order to spark another war and also attempted an armed uprising. The Germans didn't respond to this because they'd already won their war in the east and now wanted to focus on the west, which was now receiving some help from overseas. And with that, the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk stayed in effect until Germany's defeat later that year, and it won't surprise you to learn that it wasn't long until the Bolsheviks were back in those regions.
Yeah, to nobody's surprise, the Russians later came back to try and gain those lands again. There's a reason why all of Russia's neighbors hate Russia. And it's a good reason too. Just look at Ukraine and Georgia right now. And Belarus as well. I mean, Belarus is just a Russian puppet state, that's pretty much all it is. So yeah, Russia could have sued for peace and lost some land. Instead, they decided to do something stupid, which caused them to lose even more land. Yeah, as a Polish person, a country that's neighboring Russia, and which has been subjugated many times by the Russians, can't say I feel any sort of sympathy. I could not care less. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. There's really not much more to say, so I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. If you want to see more reactions, check out this video right here, and with that, I'll see you in the next video.